At the Madison County News Network. I thank you for tuning in. It is now 6:44, 6:45. So here's what we're dealing with. Make sure you tap that screen. Just tap that screen. This actually gets it out of more of the For You pages and stuff. But tonight, we are going to be sending this off to all of these people to go ahead and watch here real quick. So we can go ahead and make sure we're getting ready to get started here, guys. Hang with me. We are getting ready to get started. Here we go. All right. So we got quite a few people with us tonight. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Dr. Catherine Callahan.
Alice Flowers.
John Cooksey.
Dr. Jason Shields.
Pastor Mike Weller.
So we're all sitting here with you tonight, and basically what we're going to be talking about is just some of the social and economical issues that are facing Anderson, and we're going to be talking about ways that we can actually turn around and maybe help the community so we can go ahead and get some things taken care of around here. The things that we're going to be talking about tonight are actually pretty simple. We're going to be talking about, Pastor Mike, I want you to talk about the Larry the Can Man.
Oh, Larry. Larry was a great individual. He would come to church. Never really stayed the whole time, but man, we loved on him when he was here. Always a bright, cheerful guy. No matter what he was facing, had a smile on his face. Kept us updated on how many can tabs he had. I know he was less than 500,000 away from his 27th million, and he hand counted them. He didn't. He was telling me that a lot of individuals who collect tabs weigh them and then calculate and estimate how many are there. But he would actually hand count them into groups and into 50,000 per tub and take them that way. He was telling me that the previous world record in the Guinness Book of World Record was 3 million. He did over 3 million in less than 2 years. So just a great individual. He's deeply missed in the area. I drive down the road and I'm used to seeing him digging in a trash can or whatever, trying to collect pop tabs, and I missed him a lot already. It's only been a couple weeks since he was with us in person. I know we spent a couple weeks in the hospital, but miss him a lot. Wish he was here. But we want to honor that. As a church, we set out a tub or a 5-gallon water jug to collect pop tabs outside of our church. We've had some dropped off. We're going to continue this continuous passion. He shared that he did it to get himself moving forward. He had a lot of addiction issues and struggles in life, and that was something he did to keep himself motivated and to keep himself moving forward and on the straight and narrow. So we want to honor that as a church and as individuals. Just keep moving forward. It's a little thing that we can do. I think one of the last conversations he shared with me was of all the pop tabs he had collected, it equated to, I want to say, a little over $14,000 worth of donations to the Ronald McDonald House. So.
It is absolutely wonderful. Hey guys, as you're watching the live, I also want you to make sure, please tap the screen so that way it gets out on more For You pages for everybody and stuff. So I don't even understand how my phone is actually ringing because I put it on Do Not Disturb mode. Okay, sorry about that, guys. We're back here. Sorry about that. My phone was a little bit rude. So we're going to talk a little bit about the safety issue that's been going on with town here tonight. In Anderson, one of the biggest things that we've been noticing is that it seems like there's been an increase in shootings, and some issues are going on. Hey, guys, I also want you to understand that we're tired of covering shootings. I know we are. I know everybody is, okay? So we've got Dr. Kathleen. Oh, my goodness.
Somebody else fine.
He doesn't even understand that. It's just like, it's like, But I want you to kind of explain some of the statistics that you're seeing.
Well,
and who you are.
Okay, so I am a nurse practitioner who owns a family practice in LaPel, Indiana. I've been a nurse practitioner for over 20 years, been a nurse for over about 27 years, so getting old there. But I'm also the chief deputy coroner for the county, and so we get to see the end result of what happens in our county here today. So I just basically kind of, we're the We're the seventh most violent county out of 92 counties. I understand at one point we were the third worst in the state, if you've read John Beeman's flyers. We have 1,357 cases for abuse. We still have about 697 kids without an assigned court appointment. So we've got some issues in the county. We're seeing an increase in illicit drug use, but the pandemic also contributed to our mental health issues significantly. Whether we like it or not, you start handing out free money. What that contributes to is people buying better drugs. And so people did not use the money sometimes what it's intended to. So unfortunately, it's gotten really tough for the police officers. As hard as they try, there are more criminals than there are police officers at this point. The police just cannot keep up with this fast-paced drug abuse. We can't train officers overnight. We just can't. But we can certainly get somebody addicted to drugs overnight. So the police officers really have a tough job. They've done a great job at controlling what they can. But the sheriff's race that's coming up is critical. People need to understand that the most important thing Tuesday is it's your chance to be heard. It's your chance to, you hire these people. You fire these people. You are the voters. And so without your vote, we can't make a difference. So with that being said, John Beeman is running for sheriff. Joey Cole is running against John Beeman for sheriff. John Beeman is a Republican. Joey Cole is a Democrat. John Beeman has over 40 years of experience in numerous ways. He went to the U.S. Army first before he went to college. So once he went off to college after he served our country, he decided to get a degree from Ball State, and then he became a federal marshal. He's also retired as a federal marshal after 30 years. He's done a lot with drug use and controlling crime. He's the head coach for Clay Target out at Lapel High School, which is a great thing because we need to promote gun safety, and so he's starting them in the high school, so that's a wonderful. He's been a 4-H volunteer for over 10 years. So I am open to say my vote is for John Beeman.
Okay, so I need to also make sure that you guys understand that when it comes to the news station, we do not endorse or discredit one way or the other, okay? So that is one person's opinion right there, and she explained to you as to why she says that is because of his ability to, his resume. Now, I also want to go ahead and talk about, I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera back over to you. So hang on here just a second here as soon as I figure out how to do that. Well, here, we'll just do this.
Hi, guys. Yeah.
Are you on it? Because I can't see it. Okay.
Yeah,
Tell them who you are.
I'm Jason Shields. I work with Dr. Catherine Callahan as the therapist right from the practice. So.
And you've seen an increase in mental health issues and drug use as well.
A lot, especially working with her at the clinic and hearing the horror stories that she runs across with the coroner's office. Sure. So.
Okay. Now, guys, I also
I
want
was just going to say, too, I mean, even as a church, it's not uncommon for us to have someone that we believe is actively in a cycle of use. We've had to call EMS once, actually, and to be fair, we've been here 2 years as a church, and it took us a little over 18 months to have to call the first time, and I was surprised that it took us that long, just based on the community that we serve. So I have definitely seen it. Feel like people are kind of tripping sometimes while they're in church. So it is what it is. But yeah,
for Jesus.
no, they're not tripping for Jesus. But it definitely is out there. And I previously worked at a drug and alcohol detox center here in town, and it's rough out there.
Yeah.
Well, I can add a counterpoint to that.
So in the comments right here, we've got, it's been so unsafe for my 17-year-old to walk and ride his bike to work at McDonald's off of 14th Street. And I understand exactly what you're dealing with right there. I actually live in the historic district myself. And as It's Sugar Shop as the username that sent this comment over, and I feel your problem. I feel your compassion with that problem right there. It's been a lot of safety concerns out there. I mean, we kind of all wish that we would have a world that we could send our kids outside and be able to go ahead and do whatever they wish to do back with the way it was. The world's changed, okay? Yeah. Everything's changed. But here's and believe me when I tell you, I'm a small business owner too. So obviously, having the Madison County News Network here, it's myself and another guy named William. But my thing is that we want to try to help. We want to really try to help the community. So one of the things I've been looking at is trying to set up some type of a tiny home community for these guys out here. We're working on that right now. We have found one piece of property. It's going to take me a lot of money to be able to get us in there, but we'll get there. We'll figure it out. In Godspeed and God's way. Mike, I'm going to have you kind of talk a little bit about what that would look like too. What your idea is behind that?
Well, it kind of really grew out of time that I spent working at a community mental health center here in town. I'm just recognizing that there are homeless shelters. However, there are not emergency homeless shelters for men or for women. Especially even for women, there's one that's a domestic violence shelter. However, they will not accept male children over the age of 12. And so if there's a family that has a teenage son and they need a homeless a housing situation, the son can't access the safety. And I've known people who have lied saying that they have been battered intentionally to get into that emergency shelter. So not only is there's not a safe place, but the shelters here in town require you to be drug-free to enter. The housing area for the men's, the corridors are upstairs, the barracks, so anyone with a physical disability cannot access them. The women's shelter here in town, one of them requires you to vacate the property from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. during the day. So as a church, as a pastor, I've just started seeing stuff a while back. It's been on my heart. And so one day I was flipping through Facebook or Google or something, and I saw these pod hotels overseas, where you kind of like crawl in. And I got the idea, like, what if we expanded that and made, little tiny home kind of communities where it's, 10 by 10, almost kind of like a shed, if you will, for lack of a better term. It's got a bed, basic facilities. But, and kind of the other thing was, working with some homeless individuals here in town, we had one gentleman that I was working with pretty closely last year. He didn't get much sleep because he took it upon himself to be kind of a father figure, and he would get up 2 or 3 times during the night to make sure that the women on the street were okay.
Yeah.
So he would get up and walk the street and keep track of where all the women were sleeping to make sure that they were safe. And so we've talked as a church, you can't move forward with your life. You can't tackle addiction. You can't tackle anxiety. You can't tackle, finding a job unless you have a safe place to lay your head. Unless you have a safe place where you can know you can go back and that's a safe place where you can sleep, where you're not going to be pestered. So we started kind of playing with this idea of what would it look like to get a property and put several there and make sure that the places are locked where they can leave their things. And then providing access, not required, but access to things to help people move forward. Addiction services, job recovery services, things like this. Whereas some other places I've known where it's like, if you're going to access our facility, you must do X, Y, Z. Well, if you force someone to do something, they're not doing it for themselves. So giving people the opportunity and a nice long time frame of, hey, here's how you can move forward when you're ready. We'll help you. And giving people an opportunity to, in a sense, if they don't want to do that, and move forward. And we've talked about even further down the road, having more
transition and that type of stuff.
More
something
of a housing situation, an actual house or an apartment situation to really help people move
something
forward.
That would actually help them to restore their lives, not just a now problem, but also in the future too.
Exactly.
So one of the things I've been kind of working on is trying to find what that property would look like, where that would be. We did find something as today actually. It's going to cost me about $500,000 to get us into it. I don't know where that money's coming from, but I'll figure it out, God willing. It will just so if you're on the stream, just definitely pray about it because we want to help the community. We want to kind of bring things forward and stuff. And, every Sunday night, except the first Sunday of the night, First Sunday of the month. We actually give out. We do a dinner over here at Restoration Church where we actually feed anybody that comes in the door. No questions asked or anything. We just a dinner. It just a home cooked meal where you can come in and sit down, have a home cooked meal, listen to a message.
Most of the time,
and
it's home cooked. Sometimes we do pizza.
Sometimes we do, but I mean, but the thing is that sorry about that, guys. Didn't mean to drop you here. Okay, look, this is called a pilot episode for a reason because we don't have everything yet. But my thing is that we're trying to really just do something positive for the community, and we're just trying to make something happen out here. Okay, so having your support like that and this is definitely vital right now. Okay, so it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and switch over the camera here to.
Hi, it's John Cooksey. Glad to be with you guys tonight. Just to kind of tag on to what others have said here so far, it's not an us versus them thing. It's not what can the government do about issues here in our county and in our city of Anderson. It's what can you do. As a person of faith, I take that very seriously, as do many of the others here in town. As it's put on my heart, I personally have given money to people, no questions asked. It's called being aware. Yes, things have changed dramatically in society over the last several years, but it's just you be that person. I know something. I work with a church on the south side here, and something that we're doing as a church is called Turn Away No Longer. It's in cooperation with a program called Turn Away No Longer.
Oh yeah, we know Turn Away No Longer very well. We actually work with them quite a bit.
I think we're going to sell part of our property for $1 to a youth home for kids in transition that have no place else to go until they're fostered into with other people.
I love what Tracy and Jeremiah are doing. I think it's wonderful. I absolutely love what they're doing, and I've been a very avid supporter of them. Actually, if you've been following my channel for a long time here, and you remember seeing the funded project back from last year and stuff, you probably remember they were actually the pilot episode on that. It's on our YouTube. Oh, cool. You can see the link right up there. So definitely want to work out and try to help others out in the community. Try to get us to. We're just trying to do something positive out here. Right. So
I was going to say, tagging on with what you were saying, is I completely agree, and that's why as a church we say shut up and love.
That's right.
It's not about who did what caused what. Exactly. It's about, okay, here's where we are, and this is what we were talking about at church tonight. Here's where we are. How do we move forward? What's next? Mm-hmm. How do we step forward to helping our community become less broken?
And not wait till somebody else does something.
Right.
Sometimes it means digging into our individual pocket and saying, I'm going to fund this.
Right. Well, and that's just it. So I'm the pastor here. I work a full-time job. I don't take a penny here. I don't, because, and even if we brought in, $80,000 a year or whatever, I would never take a dime or a salary. Okay. Because I want what we do to go back into the community.
Same.
And so,
it's like,
and I could never, have a clear conscience if I knew someone was on the street, and we could have given them something they needed, or I got a paycheck. I would never be okay with that.
So I think what I hear you guys all saying is, what can we do? Because you guys have a great concept, but it's only a small piece. We have to look at the big picture. And that comes to the election. The election is your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is where the change is going to evolve from.
Well, it's more than just the election. It's more than just the election because you know what the thing is. Absolutely, because you know what the thing is. We definitely need the government on our side. Of course we do. But you know what the thing is that you all know I'm not one of these government type people. Okay, listen. Okay, if you've been following me for a while, if you remember watching that one episode, Misunderstood Masterminds. Look, I've got a past myself. I've got felonies on my record and stuff. But you know what the thing is I stood back up and I turned around and I know how to change my life. And that's the thing. I want to be motivation for those out here to be able to do the same thing, okay? It's not over, folks. Right. It's not over.
Oh, no.
It's going to be okay. It's not going to be the easiest thing in the whole entire world to get through and to make everything happen. But you know what the thing is that we could definitely make it happen out here, okay? But it starts with all of us.
Let's talk and I'm not making this political. I think a lot of people just don't understand. So this election that we're going into, the general, is a split ticket. The split ticket means that you can vote for the best candidate you feel you want to vote for. So you don't have to do straight Republican, you don't have to do straight Democrat. You get to choose this time. So you choose and educate yourself on who you feel is the best candidate to make change. I do want you to be mindful. I don't believe we were made to be all Democrat or all Republican.
Right.
And we're gonna see.
We are made to be all American, though, so that's what we are going to do.
We are.
You better believe that
We
here.
are.
Yeah.
But there's only 2 seats right now that are held by Democrats in the county, and everything else is held by Republicans. So this is going to be an interesting race to see what happens. We could go all red in this county as well instead of just being, but it was really ideally made for us to have a balance. And so keep that in mind when I know there's a lot of people, I've been hearing a lot of feedback that everybody's just going in there, doing a straight ticket, and they're out when they're voting. But do take the time to read through those and figure out.
Exactly.
Like
Well,
I
was gonna
said,
say-
I'm just going to go ahead and make sure the information about who these people are and what they're about is available out there. There will not be any editorial piece whatsoever about them. You're the one that has to do the homework, okay? It's not my job to make your mind up for you, okay?
Right.
I'm only the one that's going to give you the information. What you do with that information, how you process that information, that's between you and yourself.
Right.
Not my place to turn around and encourage you to vote one way or the other, ever. And nor would I.
Right.
But at
I
least
was going to
vote.
say, you were talking about, the big picture, and I agree, voting is a big piece of that.
Because they control the money in the county.
Exactly. But it was shared tonight, one of the conversations or one of the comments tonight is how does an ant eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So how do we tackle what's going on in our community? How do we tackle the gun violence? How do we tackle the homelessness? How do we tackle the cycle of depression? How do we tackle XYZ? It's one bite at a time. It's the getting out and voting, not just sitting back saying my vote doesn't matter, because they're going to, every vote matters.
And we're at the closest we can never be. I mean, we are 2 days from election. We lost a race by 3 votes in the primary. Your vote matters.
Right. And that's it. You matter as a person. You matter as a vote. You matter as a person. And that's why when I walk the streets and I see someone sleeping on the street, or I hear that someone was shot in a gas station or whatever, every person matters.
Absolutely.
Every person. It's not okay to let someone be considered less than. We're all in this thing together. We all have a Madison County address. We are in this together.
The Sheriff's Department, APD, all these departments are overtaxed. They need more.
Folks, that's actually true because I hear that in their voices when they hear them. When you're listening to the scanner and stuff, you see them rolling up on the seat. Man, they're tired. They're tired. Everybody's tired. I mean, it really is, okay? So, I mean, as we bring this to an end, here's what I'm going to say, and we won't say anything else about politics whatsoever. But I want you just to do your own homework, okay? You have to figure out in your heart who you feel like is the best qualified for that job, okay? They work for you, okay? I want you to remember that. They work for you. And I want you to actually turn around and think about who's the most qualified for that job in your opinion. That's who you vote for. Nothing else I say matters. My opinion does not count when it comes to this. Yours does.
Yes, absolutely. And don't be afraid to be that person that steps out and says, this is not
And
acceptable.
use your
The
voice.
crime is not acceptable. The drugs are not acceptable. Be that person. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of people that are just afraid and they're like, what happens if I step out? Well, what does happen? Maybe you'll make a difference.
You know what happens when you step out? History gets made, okay? We could do that.
And when we all step out together, that's when things really change.
Exactly.
And that's why, having a conversation around the table like this is great, and pulling other agencies in and government help or whoever. It's how do we move forward, because every voice matters. Don't be afraid to step out, because, I've seen it time and time again. One person gets passionate about something and it triggers someone else. Oh, I could do that. I could do that. And then you get 2 or 3 working together. And then you get a few other people working together. And then you start making big changes. So don't be afraid to step out, but make sure you get out and vote. That's the biggest thing, because life matters. Period.
So I mean, my thing is I just we're going to make sure that you have the information that you need. That's it. Okay. No editorials, none of that type of stuff. My main thing is that I have to do that. I'm going to always run this news station absolutely neutral, because that is what the responsible thing to do is, no matter what happens. And and you're right, Nikki. You're absolutely right. Felon voter rights can be restored. Different things can happen out there. You know what the thing is that, and that's the other part, is that no matter what happens in the past, it doesn't mean that you can't have a future. Okay.
Now, the one thing that always comes up, if you are not registered to vote, it is too late. People will show up at the polls wanting to vote, and they did not register. So if you are not registered to vote, unfortunately, it is too late. But you can always register for the next race.
Yes.
So remember that. So just so everybody is mindful of that, some of you might be on here getting excited that you want to come out and vote, and it happens every election that it is too late to register.
I also need you to understand that, look, when it comes to the candidates and stuff like that, you're never going to hear my opinion of which one I like and who I want to go for or any of that type of stuff. But I'm going to reiterate this, and we're going to end this stream here on these notes. No matter who you vote for, I want you to think about that. Don't look at them as if, I like this as a person. I like this person as a person and that type of stuff. I want you to think about, are they qualified for the job that they're going into?
Right.
That's all I want you to think about. Would you hire this person for this job? And if you would, that's who you need to vote for. You'll do your homework. I'm going to make sure you guys whatever information you need about who they are, the basic qualifications, and their resumes available on the site. Beyond that, it's your decision to do things. Now, I'm going to tell you another thing too. Over the course of time, if we come across information that we feel like that should be relevant and that you should know about it, we will also post that on that same thread, and it'll be up to you to go ahead and read that information and process that information accordingly on both sides. We love you guys. We definitely appreciate you watching. Have a great night. Thanks, guys.